Hello.
I'm
Yay,
here.
there you are. Hi.
How are you?
Really good. Lovely to see you, Dave. Thank you so much for joining us for this live. Really
Oh,
appreciate
it's a
it.
pleasure. I've been looking forward to it.
Well, me too. And it was lovely to meet you a couple of weeks ago at Willie's. That was really good. Really, really enjoyed that. It was a great day, wasn't it?
It was
Very lovely.
such a lovely day, honestly, and we got so much from it and learnt a lot as well. And the food there, and it was just an amazing, amazing
It
day.
really was, wasn't it? And talking
Yeah,
about amazing days, you and Victoria got back from Rome recently, and you had a lovely time there.
it was exhausting. I mean, it wasn't, a sun lounger holiday. I think we walked 40 odd miles in 3.5 days, and that was with a hop off bus pass as well. But what a place! It was absolutely stunning.
This time.
um
And were you really good when you were there? Did you skirt round the gelati and the pasta and pizza and all that kind of thing?
Victoria is a lot better than me, but do you know what, as soon as I got back, I didn't overdo it. I treated
Yeah,
myself a little bit, so I had a couple of treat meals, but I was back on it straight away. And I was back to the weight I was when I left within 2 days.
that's fantastic. So it's just a bit of
Yeah,
water weight. That was
yeah,
it.
yeah. We was hydrating a lot because of the walking and that, and it was just brilliant. Honestly, what a trip! It was
Oh,
so amazing. For anyone who hasn't been to Rome, they've got to go because the history and the culture was fantastic.
fabulous, isn't it? It's much smaller, isn't it, than one imagines it's going to be. I thought it felt much more intimate, not like a sprawling city at all. It
It
feels,
didn't feel intimate when we were walking for hours on end, but I can't fault it, and it just embraced everything that I wanted out of it, and Victoria loved it as well.
yeah.
And we came back straight back on the HBD, which I want to talk about tonight as well, because a few of my followers have joined, I think, and they want to hear about it, and of course the alcohol a little bit later.
We'd
So
love to hear about your HBD experience and how you heard about it and what it was like when you started and how embracing HBD compares with sobriety, all those kind of things. Because as human beings, we tend to be very scared of making changes and we think it will be painful. And naturally, we do what we can to avoid pain, but sometimes we need to grit our teeth and just go for it,
yeah,
see what happens, trust ourselves.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlotte there is my ex-PT
Hey, Charlotte.
and PT for personal trainer, right? She's just joined. And I went to see her down the gym where I used to live, right? And she said, "You're sober Dave,
Oh,
aren't you?" And I
gosh.
said, "That's right." And she said, "I'll tell you what, let me give you a free PT session." And she did a consultation. At the end, she said, "Well, straight off the bat, you need to lose at least 3 stone." And I was like, "Oh my
God.
God." And we worked really, really hard, and I was really good with my food. And I think I dropped nearly 2 stone. And then our sessions finished, and then I got back to my old ways. And I've yo-yoed like this for years and years and years. And when I was about 20, 25, I didn't have any fat on me. And I know our metabolisms are faster and we burn it off more. And
Yeah.
I used to eat like a pig and be fine. But the older I got and the poor food choices and the habits that I got in, the weight started to pile on you. And I gave up drinking. And the first thing I thought would be, oh, I lose this
Yeah.
weight because I'm not drinking because of the calories. But as anyone on here listening knows, that when you stop drinking, the sugar monster comes along. There's the
Yeah.
snacking,
Comfort.
and I struggled, right?
Yeah.
And with Charlotte, I did lose the weight, but it gradually came back
Yeah.
on. And I I received a comment on my post today, and I read it, and it said, "Dave, we love you no matter what size you are. It's more important how you are." And I thought, I wasn't happy. Like I did a talk last year at Latitude, and me and Victoria are doing one this year as well.
Good.
And when I saw the photos of me on the stage, I looked at myself, and it really got me down. So it wasn't me concentrating on the content of my talk and how that might help people. It was what I looked like to
Yeah,
me.
it's
And
tough, isn't it?
it
Really tough.
is tough.
Yeah.
And I've battled with this for so long now. And I was, to me, eating well, eating healthily. But what I found, Petronella, was that I had so many bad habits, and I was also seeking the reward,
Yeah, of course.
the dopamine hit, right?
Yeah,
Because I've stopped
yeah,
drinking. I don't drink caffeine,
yeah,
as I thought, really healthily. But an example would be a big bowl of muesli in the morning with grapes, strawberries, banana, natural yogurt,
yeah.
honey, and the bowl would be like that. Oh,
Yeah.
that was a healthy breakfast. Then I'd have a couple of clients, and then I'd think, do you know what? I've got some lovely granary bread. I'll have a couple of slices of that with a coffee and peanut butter on toast.
Yeah,
Have that, not
yeah,
even hungry.
yeah.
Lunch would come
Good habit.
along, chicken salad, jacket potato, snacking it, and then dinner, big old wad of dinner. But I don't understand why I'm putting on weight, because I'm eating all the right foods, right? And then I've tried other things, and I realised that moderation is like, so I had to have a plan, right? And it was Victoria that came across you, and she tried HBD last
Yeah,
year. And we have words. I'll be honest, we have words, because it's like, how can we have our lovely cozy night in and have our steak meals that I'll cook you? And how can we do this? And what about going to Starbucks and doing this and that? And she was really brilliant with it. But gradually, probably partly to do with me as well, she started to slip back after a few weeks.
yeah.
And then she went through her lull. But then she started again, and I started looking at your posts and what you did, and I thought, "Do you know, if I can give up drinking, I can do
You
it,
can
right?"
do anything,
Yeah,
exactly. That is the hardest thing of all.
right. So I said to Victoria, I'm giving it a go. But knowing who I am, I'm an all or nothing person, right? So I had to give it my all.
You had to.
So I,
Yeah.
I had to. So I decided on a date, which was exactly a week after Victoria started, right? And I did the 2 days of the vegetables only and stand clear, everyone. I'm not seeing anyone. And
Epsom salt.
I went through that. I went through that, and then I started phase one. And do you know what? I bloody loved it. I loved
Amazing.
it
Straight away. Incredible.
straight away, because it removed all that chatter in my head. So when I talk about moderation of alcohol, right?
Yeah.
I know it's different because you need food, right? You have to have
Yeah.
food. Where alcohol, you
Yeah.
don't need. You
Yeah.
don't need alcohol. So to me, moderation is a nightmare. So for me, it had to be, I need to stick to this 3 meals a
Mm.
day for this to work.
Yeah.
And I did rigidly, and I stuck to it, and I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel fed up. I was eating good food, you
Yeah.
know.
And you're the cook in the house, are you?
Well, I've
So
got a
that
little
makes
Rose,
it.
my Chihuahua, that I do her a little few treats
We've
here and there. But
never seen your Chihuahua. We'd love to see him.
oh, do you know what? I put her downstairs because she was going for a little bit of a barky stage just before I come on the live. So she's having a little sleep downstairs. But I stuck to the 3 meals a day, and the weight started coming off. But it wasn't like felt like I was starving myself.
God.
I was drinking lots of water,
Hmm.
and I just fitted into it. And I realised that the routine was really, really important. And then it got to the 16 days, and our first meal was a carvery, which I love, and good old fashioned carvery with the
Yeah.
old carpet, Axminster, and I was there. And do you know what? I didn't actually go mad.
Yeah.
I put a lot of veg on the plate. So it wasn't a lot different, but the quantity was
And did
different.
you feel, were you anxious about having the treat meal?
A little bit, because I felt we would undo all what I'd done. But I wasn't that anxious enough
Yeah.
to not have the apple crumble and ice cream for pretty. So
That's so
I
important.
thought, "Do you know what? I've worked really hard. I need a bit of a treat
Yeah.
here." So I had that. And there was a little bit of that, oh God, that's it for a week now. And then there was a little bit of, how's that going to affect my progress? But right, it's all
It's
part
a
of
part of it. Yeah.
the
I mean,
digestion.
some people, like, they can't have sugar. And we talked about that on the phone the other day, that you can actually have a treat meal without any alcohol, without any wine, without any sugar, and still have fun. And so,
Yeah,
if you know that you have a problem with wine, or you know that you have a problem with sugar, don't go back to it after that first 2 weeks. In 16
yeah.
days, stay off it. Give yourself more time.
It's
So I think
really important. on that, because do you know, like what I say about alcohol is that for some people that might like a glass or two of
Mm.
wine and they can't take or leave it, that treat meal thing after 16 days, right, could be a double reward of, do you know what, I can have what I like to eat within
Yeah,
reason and a glass of
yeah,
wine. And I always say, if you can have a glass of wine and then a cup of tea after, then great. But if that first glass of wine you think, oh, do you know what, I fancy another one,
yeah,
you're kind of blowing it straight away. And
yeah,
then you get the munchies
yeah,
later on, and then you wake up the next day and you're thinking, oh my God, not only did I blow the program, but I've had half a bottle of wine as well.
yeah,
And this is why it's important to like try and research your own relationship with alcohol and see where you are with it, because it's also an opportunity to explore that as well. And this is why I think it's a great conversation, because the two are pairing like a red steak with a glass of wine, or where we romanticize something of the matching. I call it like a pattern match with a wallpaper where
a
you're like
pattern
this
match. I
clip.
like that. That's such a good
Yeah,
metaphor. Yeah, it's really good and really important that we don't swap one harmful habit for another harmful habit. And I've done that myself years ago. I didn't know about the sugar alcohol connection, and so I did
mm,
dry January, and I used to eat masses of sugar. And like you, I
mm,
was very surprised why hadn't I lost weight. Well, it doesn't work like that. And
no,
part of the problem with the calories from alcohol is that we can't store them as glycogen,
no,
which is how we store most carbohydrates. The
yeah,
body has to burn those alcohol calories, has to get rid of them. So what happens to the rest of the calories? Well, they just get stored as fat, mainly
yeah,
around the belly.
yeah,
That's the body in its wisdom, how it copes with that kind of onslaught of
yeah.
alcohol and too many calories.
And
Yeah,
the other dilemma there is that if you do have more wine than you've, or any drink, could be guys drinking beer, or I can have a pint, is that then the next day you could think, do you know what, I blew it last night, I'll start again Monday. So you're just yo-yoing. And I think the whole thing with the
exactly.
HBD is that you go through the stages. So you get to stage 4 where you can live a life of stage
Yeah,
4, where you
yeah,
know what you should have and know what you shouldn't have. And that could mean a real opportunity here to look at your relationship with alcohol, because I was a rock bottom drinker. I can go into mine. I got myself in such a state with it. I had several rock bottoms and I was drinking a lot, an amount that could have easily killed me. So I had no alternative than to stop drinking. So I stopped 5.5 years ago, and I started off like thinking, right, I was so passionate about
yeah,
stopping. I was looking forward, thinking, what version of me will there be in a year's time? And it got me going,
yeah,
right? But I found like this with food was replacing my relationship with
yeah.
alcohol, which was not feeling enough
Mm,
in myself, low self-esteem, the reward factor.
mm.
What was missing in my life at the time, I was replacing it with food. So my
Yeah,
relationship was so similar when I stopped drinking. And it's something I had to really, really explore through the 5.5 years of my sobriety. It was like, am I really
yeah,
happy? Yes, in many areas, but what areas aren't you? And food was massive for me, like absolutely huge. And I tried all sorts of things, and hadn't worked. But hurrah,
for
this is working.
Yeah, HBD. There are lots of similarities, I think, between HBD and sobriety. And it is, like we were saying earlier on, it is quite scary, making new habits and our brain saying, why are you doing that? We were fine before. Why do you have to put yourself through this pain? And it's
Mm,
kind of communicating with our subconscious as well and saying, no, I don't like this, I'm going to change it. And getting really clear about our whys. Why do we want to change things? What is the inspirational dissatisfaction that has led us towards deciding, yep, to be sober, or deciding to get a handle on health and with HBD or whatever it is. Really important that we write down our reason. Really, well, you probably didn't have to do that, Dave, because you've been through so much of that with the booze already. So
yeah.
it was
And,
job half done for HBD, I guess.
and do you know what, Petronella? It's about, I use giving up drinking as the foundation for starting
Yeah.
again, right? Because we're not emotionally developed when we develop a drinking problem like myself, because I blunted out for 40 years, right? So it's almost like you have to be reborn.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? It means looking at all the areas in your life. And I had to do that, a lot of
Yeah.
self-development.
Yeah.
I had a test done. I wasn't feeling myself, so I had a blood test done. I had a DNA test done, and they found out I'm low in sertraline, in serotonin. I've got a faulty dopamine receptor.
Well,
I'm
that
low
was,
in vitamin D.
yeah.
I had a consultation with a doctor, a hormone specialist, and she said she recommended some supplements because the food that we grow in our soil now isn't what it used to be. So
Yes, depleted.
supplementation is really good,
Yeah.
right? So I 5-HTP, all these things I was doing to make myself feel better. Yet I was eating ultra processed food,
Yeah.
sausage, bacon,
Yeah.
chips, bread, milk, all those kind of things. And I didn't look at the common denominator of why I was feeling like I was feeling. And I got to a stage that I I was putting on my socks one day, and as I come up, I was out of breath. And I was like, what? Am I living my best life? I'm really not. I'm sober, hurrah, and I'm helping others. But in myself, I feel pretty rubbish. Do you know what I mean? And the photos on social media and these talks I do in that, I was looking at them after, and it's like, oh my God, what have I become again? Like I thought I'd become an old drunk, and then I sorted that out, and then I just become someone that just wasn't happy in his own
Yeah.
skin, and it really bothered me. And I did. I climbed 2 mountains last year, one in Nepal and one in Morocco, and I thought, thanks, but I struggled up those mountains, and I was like, but I was 30 pound heavier then.
Yeah.
Like, so imagine carrying that in a rucksack on your back up these mountains and that. And I looked at the photographs of them, and it's like, anyway, enough was enough, and I decided that I got to make changes. And thank God for you. And I will say, the HBD community are absolutely
They are,
incredible. They're lovely,
aren't they?
so
Yeah.
supportive, and they send
Unbelievable.
me messages
Yeah.
and so encouraging. The sober community is the same. That they are lovely because they realise that it's a problem in our life, and we all need support, and we're all in the same boat, whatever that may look like. I never compare
Yeah.
that we've all got the same problem, because having a relationship with food or alcohol is bespoke to us, you know. But it's amazing, honestly. I'm so pleased to be part of it.
No, thank you so much for being here, Dave. And it's true, isn't it? What underpins all that, unhelpful behavior, those habits, tends to be emotional pain and trauma. And if we don't look at that, it's like another elephant in the room, isn't it? We have to address it,
Yeah,
however much we don't want to. But once we do, and I find that journaling can really help with that. I don't know if you did some of that as well. And writing letters to people who really hurt us in the past,
yeah,
and accusing
yeah,
them, and then gradually coming around to forgiving them, but accusing them first.
yeah,
And if that wasn't bad enough, the pain that led to the unhealthy habits, then comes the shame,
yeah,
to compound it all. And like you were talking about the other day, the secret struggles. So many of us struggle in silence, in secret, because it's
yeah.
too painful for talk. But
You know what?
yeah,
I talk about my mental health, my addiction. I talk about my childhood trauma.
yeah,
I've been on some big podcasts where I've been totally open about it. But me posting that today about me being on HBD was really outside my comfort zone, because it's the first time I've really come out about my issue with food.
yeah,
And I was awake in the night thinking, oh God, shall I not do it? Shall I?
yeah,
Because I feel shame around it, because I'm this ambassador for helping people stop drinking, and there's me not living my best life myself, and I felt incredible shame, and I thought I've got to push through that
yeah.
uncomfortability,
Well done.
because hopefully, if my post helps one person, one even a bloke, because I know a lot of blokes, they don't talk about their drinking, they don't talk about their eating either. If it helps a couple of people just think, they don't have to act on it right now, but it could plant a seed in their head and think, do you know what? There's a bloke, he comes from Croydon, he's got a bit of a core blimey accent, he's given up drinking, and he's now addressed his eating as well. that's inspirational.
It,
I feel I need to sort mine
yeah.
out. Then it's worth me pushing through that
Right.
uncomfortability this morning, you know.
Thank you, Dave. And undoubtedly, there will be lots of people who saw that post and thought, "Oh my God, you look at this guy, and this is raw honesty." And yeah,
Yeah,
it's embarrassing to put yourself out there like that, to admit to things that you'd rather not admit to. But that's, they say that the crowd are the ones who let in the light and who
yeah,
let the light shine out. And you're
yeah.
sun, Dave. You really are.
Thank you.
Really inspiring everybody. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. And those photographs, I mean, they say it all. They're amazing. Really,
There's a
really.
difference there, isn't it?
Yeah, completely different. I mean, you look lovely before, but it's very different from the after. And we talked a bit about where you were headed with that. You said you weren't quite sure where you wanted to get to, but you kind of know when you did get there. But you look
Mm.
pretty darn good to us. I think, yeah, I think you relax where you are.
Yeah, I think I need a couple of extra pound off on that
Yeah,
just to be happy. And I'm not, going to go from that to being a 12 stone bloke because I'm a bit of a lump. Like I've always been heavier than what I look, but I feel like in a really good place now. Um, Again, we're next week. We're talking at Latitude. I'm on the Friday and Victoria's on the Saturday. And it just feels good to be able to put something on that you feel comfortable in and be able
yeah,
to be confident in the talk and that without this nagging thing of, oh God, what do I look like in this top? And I know it's not all about weight, it's about how you feel. But I didn't feel good in myself. It's a constant. And to be honest, I'm not really the vainest person in the world. It's more about how I feel inside than how I look. But when you don't feel right, it affects your whole day, doesn't it? If you wake up and you feel, I mean, I remember I went to one of my events and suddenly it wasn't a criticism. Says, "Oh, I like a man with a little bit of weight on them,
yeah.
right?"
That's
And it was a lovely thing to say in their way, but to me, it was like, "Oh
slap in
God,"
the face.
do you
Yeah,
know what I
no,
mean?
that's really,
And it kind of affected my mood, and
yeah.
I don't want to feel like
And
that.
people go the other way too, don't they? I mean, I know we've all come across saboteurs, whether it's, for people saying no thanks to a drink
Yeah,
or no thanks to a chocolate mousse with HBD. It's very sad and very,
yeah.
very prevalent. So, that's another kind of
I've
pitfall that
had
we need
that.
to be aware of. You have.
But I've just had to think, do you know what, that's your stuff, and I'm just going to, I've learned to stay in my lane with things, and once
Yeah.
I focus on something, I'm like, right, this is where I'm going, and I'm going to get that and over there. But I've had it online for years, trolling and stuff like that, so I'm kind of used to that,
No,
and it's what I want.
yeah, exactly. It's what you want. And
Yeah,
you say, you have to put your blinkers on.
yeah.
Never mind what anybody else thinks or what anybody else is doing, because we know inside, don't we, what's really good for us and what we need to do.
Absolutely, and there's not good about it. I mean, you're eating the right protein, the right foods, the
Yeah,
right quantities.
yeah.
I'm sleeping okay. I'm waking up really healthy. I'm happy when I look in the mirror. So what's with that?
What's wrong with that? Exactly. I don't know what's wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know why people have to pick on that. Especially it can be really good friends, or maybe not necessarily.
I know why, Petronella. I know you're holding a mirror up to them. It's the same with drinking. When you say you're stopping drinking, right, it's the only thing you have to justify not giving up, right?
It's true.
Like it's the only thing
Yeah,
you have to justify. Because if it's anything else, they're like, "Oh, well done,
yeah,
giving up drinking. What? Why are you being so boring?"
yeah.
I've heard people say, "Come back to me when you're normal again."
Oh God,
Like, you
yeah.
know, but that is a reflection of their with drinking, and quite often later on they start saying, "Hmm. So how did you do it then? Like what's the key here?" Because you'd expect what they want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And how did you do it, Dave? And what was it like a lightning moment? Like you woke up one morning, you think, right, that's it. I'm going to change this because I don't want to be here anymore in the way that I'm feeling today. I'm going to really take matters in hand and do something about it. Or was it like a slow dawning thing of, I don't want this. I want to feel really well. I want to honor and respect myself by just saying no thanks to the booze and just going for sobriety. So
I think
did you?
it was a process, and on paper it looked like spontaneous sobriety.
Yeah,
That on the 7th of January 2019, I'd gone, right, I'm done.
Yeah.
But it was a process over the
Yeah.
months of, I had a really, really terrible bottom in the April 2018 where I basically made myself pretty much homeless. And it was the Easter weekend. I went down to Eastbourne and I drank for 16-hour stretches every day.
Yeah.
But I ended up on the beach with a bottle of vodka. And I got up and I fell over and headbutted the stones and cut all my head open. I looked like nothing I've seen myself before, right? And then my mum became ill and then she died. I had a lot of money stolen from a builder, like all these
Yeah.
catalogue of events. So I was drinking my way through
Yeah.
them. But I became so ill that the doctor said that you are literally a ticking time bomb, that you could just drop down dead now. And that still wasn't enough for me because I hadn't straightened my mindset up. It still wasn't quite right. Although I knew I had to do something about it, it still wasn't right for
Yeah.
me. Okay. And Christmas of boozing, New Year of boozing, and one Monday morning, I think it was, I got a text from a really good friend who's unbelievable. He's such a good person. And he framed it as in, do you fancy joining me to stop drinking for 3 months? Right now, if he had said to me, mate, you look absolutely terrible, you need to sort your life out,
Yeah.
he would have got the middle finger,
Yeah.
right? But it was the way he framed it. And I had a hangover, I was in traffic, and it's like, oh, I don't even know, I can't even stop for 3 days, like let alone 3 months. But it started, planted a seed, right, in my head of, I wonder what life would look like in 3 months, right? And this is how I did HBD, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if I give this 3 months, right, how will I feel? How will I look? How will my life change? It's exactly the same.
Exactly.
I texted him and said, are you in? And he said, I am. And he's never in. And I said, can I come and see you? He said, yeah. And I walked in and he was just standing there like this pillar of strength.
Wow.
And I gave him a hug. I said, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I've never drank since. That
That
was
is
it.
fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
What a great friend.
Yeah.
Like,
And do you know what? If he wasn't in,
yeah.
I'd have probably drank
Yeah.
that night.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. Probably.
is, and so I look at it, Petronella, that was open from the universe there, that it opened for like a day.
Yeah.
And it's what I did with that day. Did I dismiss that conversation and go, do you know what, mate? No, I sorted it out on my own. Or do I go, I'm taking that and I'm walking through? And this is what I did with HBD. It's like, I need to change this because my cholesterol's high. I'm massively overweight. I feel awful. I'm not sleeping. It's become a real problem in my life. And I looked at it like that. Here's an opening here for me to walk through,
Yeah.
get all you've got, and see what happens. And there's so similar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And it is just the foundation for making your life better. It's the solid foundation you can build on that. Whether it's your eating, whether
Yeah.
it's smoking, whether it's caffeine, like I don't have caffeine, whether it's sugar, all of that comes along after.
Yeah.
And this is why it's important to reflect on what you want out of your life, especially when we're getting a little bit older and we think, do you know what, how do I want the next 5 years to pan out? Do I want to be really healthy? Do I want to feel motivated and feel like energized, or do I want to be sluggish, struggling at work, relationship indoors, not working out,
Yeah.
being a parent, not right? What do we want?
No, what do we want exactly, and what are we worth? And I think that perhaps a lot of people have problems turning their lives around in that way because they ultimately don't feel they're worth it. They feel they don't deserve
Yeah.
to feel well or to feel, light and energized and everything else. So and I know that you've done your trip certification and you're really busy with that too, because I guess the two often go
They
hand in hand.
absolutely do, right? So I've been doing my job for 4 years now as a grey area drinking coach. So I help a lot of people look at their relationship with alcohol, and it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Like you and me could drink exactly the same, but your relationship with alcohol could be completely different to mine. Grey area drinking means you're not on it every
Yeah.
day, but it could be you might have a couple of glasses with dinner a night, which is too
Yeah.
much. It could be you might not drink in the week, but you binge at the weekends. It could be that I say to you, well, if it's not a problem, give it up. And you say, well, I couldn't do that. you know, that thing. And lockdown was a disaster for a lot of
A lot
people
of people.
because
Yeah.
they had all that time off. We had all that time off.
Yeah.
The weather was incredible.
Yeah, it was.
And it was like that holiday vibe,
Yeah.
right? And I remember there was this app called House Party, and people were putting things on there with glasses of wine at 1 in the afternoon on the Sun Lounger, and oh, this is great. And we didn't have to get up for work, and we didn't have to answer. So there's that pretty much holiday vibe, right? But after 2 or 3 months, Zoom calls came in. We had to kind of start going back to work. And I had people coming to me saying that, why am I getting cravings at 1 in the afternoon
Yeah.
on a Wednesday?
Habit.
And
Yeah.
habit,
Yeah.
but like alcohol's an addictive drug, so you start this at that time of day. And
Yeah.
also people blowing into their mugs pretending it's hot tea and it was wine. And do you know what, still even now people are struggling from lockdown,
That's
where they're
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, where
And
it's got a hand.
yeah, isolation, not being
Mm,
able to see our friends, well, only
yeah,
on Zoom or whatever. And then people were also turning to food in a big way, weren't they? There was all that banana
massively.
bread doing rounds and, all sorts of baking comfort food and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it
Banana
was,
bread. It was around. It's like, what can I do with these old bananas going off? Like, let's make some bread. Yeah. And yeah, there was all sorts going on, but it's the knock-on effect from it now. Do you know what I mean? And with the living crisis and all of that going on, all adds to I
no,
need something. Overwhelming. There's a lot of mums that have got the holidays coming up and the
yeah,
weather's terrible. So it's
yeah,
like, what am I going to do? And
yeah,
it's like, well, do you know what? Drinking's not going to help. And they think, well, that's the only thing I've got.
yeah.
So really tough.
It's really, really tough, isn't it? And that loneliness around, lockdown, and then they tell us later, down to research, well, actually, when people are lonely, it automatically lowers their immune systems, so
Mm,
they're more likely to get COVID if they're
yeah.
isolated. They see somebody now and again. Really, really tragic what had that. And like you say, a lot of people are still really traumatized by it, and really bad for the kids as well.
Yeah,
Really.
and there's been divorces, marriage breakups,
Yeah.
and people not seeing their kids. So all these things add up, right?
Yeah.
So then the comfort eating, people living on their own, isolation. There's an acronym HALT:
Yeah.
hungry, angry, lonely, tired, right?
Yeah.
And I always stick a B on the end, which is bored. Boredom comes into it.
Yeah.
Reward. So both eating and drinking, it could be, I've had a really hard day. I've had a really good day. I've
Yeah.
had any old day. Let's have a treat.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
What does a treat look
Yeah.
like? Banana bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apple crumble. Couple of 3 glasses of wine, a few beers, right? And then we wake up in the morning and we're like, oh, I feel pretty rubbish. I've
Yeah.
eaten too much. I feel bloated. My skin's all puffy. Probably stink of booze. How are you going to
Did,
live your best life like that?
no, you can't. Did you ever have nightmares that you were having a drink when you were asleep and wake up kind of sweating, think, oh my God, thank God I didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does
I've
that
not
happen
about
on
food
thing?
now.
Food.
Oh, I've nightmares that I've eaten a whole apple crumble and a whole tub of ice cream, and it's like, no, what have I done?
No, you're innocent.
But that's the result of it's like, oh, thank God I haven't,
God.
and it's this continual work of self-development that when you say about low self-worth,
Yeah.
so mine was when I was young, my mum left the family home when I was 14, and she didn't tell me. She just left me a letter. And then my dad met someone really quickly, which now I know as an adult, he was on the rebound and
Yeah.
whatnot. And she didn't really like me because I was in the way. And I felt really, really
Oh God.
rejected and
Yeah.
I from 14 years old. And then I got into trouble with a few like the shops where we had asked the parents to adults to buy beer, and I realised actually that drink made me funny, it made me accepted, and I carried that on through my life, right? But when I got older, I became isolated in my drinking. My self-worth went even lower
Yeah.
because I hated myself. And then when I started putting on weight, I looked in the mirror and loathed how I looked as well. So it was a double whammy for me. So when I stopped drinking, I had a lot of work to do with the emotional side
Yeah.
because I thought, but then I thought, do you know what? If I if I do the first month as an experiment, do the first month and I journal,
Is it ringing again?
note down, it's a no ID call. And if I note down how I'm feeling, how I'm reacting to not drinking, what I'm doing, a bit like Columbo, and then I assess it at the end of the month, then it gives me a much better idea of where I am with it. And I got to the end of the month and I thought I'm doing really well. So my self-esteem went up,
Yeah, good.
self-worth went up. And it's the same with HBD, right? If you stick to the plan
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
start to lose weight and your skin starts to get better and you're waking up in the morning feeling like, oh, I've done another day. That's brilliant. And I'm looking forward to my breakfast. I'm looking forward to my lunch. I'm looking forward to those 5-hour intervals where I'm not going to be snacking. You remove the bandwidth there. You're not like,
yeah.
oh, I could have that. No, I need to stick to the plan.
And that is the best feeling in the
Yeah,
morning, isn't it? You
yeah.
know that, yeah, you had a great day yesterday. You're going to have a great day today, and the day after tomorrow, and so it goes on. And every day that we're doing that, we're getting closer to our goals, closer to where we want to be, honoring ourselves, and we're kind of negating all that shit that happened to us when we were kids.
Yeah.
All that hurt and feeling.
And what I was going to say, Petronella, is when we all met at
Yeah,
Willie's, apart from him and the other guy, I was probably the only bloke there.
yeah,
And it kind of highlighted, I wonder why that is, because is it something men don't really want to address, talk about?
yeah,
But this is why I'm willing to, Ricky, it's a human being diet, but I look at it like a lifestyle change.
yeah.
And this man here is ripped. He gave up drinking a couple of years ago and he's got a 6-pack. I'm telling you, he's amazing. But anyway, going back to that,
Yeah.
it's self-esteem, self-worth, feeling comfortable in your own skin, having a plan and being in control of your life. I think that's so important. And when I was eating the way I was eating, I wasn't in control of it. It felt like so similar to my drinking. It just felt things were running away with me. But when you've got these breaks and the fasting overnight, I had my dinner tonight at 5:30, and I won't have my breakfast till the morning. That's a real good time to
Yeah, it's a
fast.
great time. Yeah,
It works.
yeah. And Dave, what is your favourite HBD breakfast?
Well, do you know what? You got the glucose goddess, and she says you should never have anything sweet. So I've been having the apple and cinnamon and some Greek yogurt. But do you know what I love is
Halloumi. Well, that's good. Nothing wrong with that. That
I
sets.
love halloumi
Yeah.
because it does something for me. Do you know what? That feels really wholesome for me.
You
It's
like the way
nice.
it squeaks on your teeth?
Yeah, I like that. But I love the smell as well. And a nice cup of coffee in the morning sets me off. I don't have to have this big bowl of everything I think is working for me, which is probably about 800 calories off the bat before 7
But
a.m. You
you were
know?
doing your best at the time with the knowledge that you had, and you were choosing, wholesome, unprocessed, good food. It was just the quantity of
I
it that was.
I didn't understand. I used to say to Victoria, I don't know why I'm
Yeah.
the way I am. And she was saying, I don't understand either. But it was more the quantity and the frequency. And that's what I've changed.
Yeah.
And I don't have any, even my treat meal now, I try and be rational with that as well. I think in the beginning, it's a little bit of,
So, what was your last treat meal? Do you remember?
well, yeah. My dad's 94.
Oh, bless him.
And I went to see him on Saturday, and he always like the first time I went to see him when I was doing HBD, I made him a lovely curry, his curry he loves, and I had some cucumber, some lettuce, and he said, "What's that?" He didn't understand it. I said, "Don't worry about it, Dad. I'll explain later." But we had fish and chips on Saturday, and I've never
Nice.
seen him eat anything so quick. He lapped
Loved
it up.
it.
There's beer, curry sauce, and that. And
Oh,
he's phoned me twice since then. He said, "I really enjoyed Saturday. It was such a good day. We watched Are You Being Served?"
I
Like
love
he
that.
loves all the
Yeah.
old things, and it was a lovely day. And yeah, that was my treat meal. But I've got my big birthday coming up this week, so
Hey, what day,
on
Dave? Friday.
Friday,
Hey, what's the date of that? I'm
19th.
gonna write that down. Another July babe. July babes rule. I'm July too.
Cancerians
Yeah.
rule. But this is important for me to say as well, Petronella, is like when I look at my 50th,
Yeah.
how different it is now to my 60th.
Yeah. I think your
So
60th is
different.
going to be
My
much happier.
when I was 50, I was on that TV show 60 Minute Makeover, right? And we had my party in London, and I got so drunk, I got kicked out of a club at my age at 50.
Yeah,
And when I got up the next day, I had wine all down my shirt and whatnot. I had massively high cholesterol. I was 4 stone overweight.
yeah,
I had acid reflux,
yeah,
and I was on antidepressants. Now I'm nigh on my ideal weight. I haven't drank 5.5 years.
yeah.
I don't drink caffeine.
Fantastic.
My food is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm in a wonderful relationship. Life in that decade is changed so much. And this is what I say about for some people who are sitting on the fence, maybe wind it forward 3 months, 6 months, or a year and think, where could I be in that time frame? Whatever works for them. Say a year. Where can I be this time next year? How can
Love.
my life be different? How will my health be? How will my mental health be? How will my relationships indoors be? If I feel better about myself, how will that reflect on
Yeah,
all the loved ones around us?
yeah. That's a lovely way of looking at it, Dave.
Mm.
So glad. So, what are you going to be doing for your birthday?
Well, we're going to Birmingham on Friday because I've arranged a bit of a soiree on Saturday,
Good.
which there are still tickets available. It's in Birmingham, and we're meeting some really close friends Friday night. And we're going out for dinner, and I will be good, I promise.
Yeah,
And
but you'll really enjoy
cheers,
it
Frankie.
too.
Frankie's the man, honestly. Frankie
He's the
McOfficial is
man.
the man. And Saturday I've got my soiree,
Yep.
which is there's food there. There's an alcohol-free bar in Birmingham. They do amazing mocktails,
Lovely.
beautiful food there. There's an in-house DJ, and then Sunday take it easy because believe it or not, you can get a sober hangover because when you meet people in sobriety, a bit like the Willie's Farm,
That's so
we all connected.
different.
We all sober hangover. So that means that you're so engaged in the conversation because you're present. The next day, you're absolutely shattered.
That's it. Yeah.
And it's probably a bit like Willie's that we were all like really enthusiastic and everyone was chatting and praising everyone. And I feel like this. Oh.
Yeah. Too true. You're absolutely right, Dave.
Yeah.
Darling Dave, can you explain to people what you offer? Because you've, like you said, you've been through everything. You're not. This isn't just a theory for you. You understand what it feels like. And I was, asking you the other day, well, what do you do if people are strapped for cash? And you said you've got a group every week for 90 minutes, a bit like HBD, in
Yeah.
fact, who support.
Yeah. What I realised when I stopped drinking was that I felt lonely when I was drinking.
Yeah,
So I could be in a room full of people, yet I felt really
yeah,
lonely because I had all this weight on my mind. And also, I was a solitary drinker and I couldn't talk about it.
yeah.
So the worst thing for me was to feel lonely in my sobriety. And I tried AA and that didn't work for me. So I went to an event in London. I nearly didn't go in, but eventually I did. And I met some incredible people. And it was exactly like the Willis thing where everyone with HBD is so welcoming,
Yeah,
so encouraging. And it was exactly like that. And I came out of there and I got on the train. It's like, oh my God, everyone's normal, everyone's amazing. And it gave me such a boost.
so lovely.
So I've created some communities, and the one I do on a Thursday, it's a subscription, but they get me for 90 minutes, and we have subjects every week, theme week. So one week it was on limiting beliefs, which can be wrapped around food as well, and
Definitely.
we check in with each other. And it's such a, we support each other, we hold each other up. If someone's struggling, there's no shaming, there's no, it's really supportive. I've got that. I've got an online course that I've done with videos, and there's a workbook, one-to-ones offer, and now I do the trauma coaching so I can just dig a little bit deeper
Yeah,
than just the drinking, because as you said rightly so about the not feeling enough is when often I ask people how they feel about
yeah,
themselves, the tears come,
yeah,
and now I'm enough to manage that and help people
yeah.
learn how to regulate their nervous system, because we store so much trauma in our bodies.
You do you do thinking about doing hands-on stuff as well, or
Well,
is there some? Yeah,
but the thing is, we've all got really comfortable with Zoom, haven't
we
we?
have.
And I work with people all over the world. I mean, I work with people. There was a guy who messaged me from the outback in Australia, and he said, "Well, you won't believe that, but I'm literally in the outback, and I've heard your podcast, and it's so amazing that I need some support." You know, so it's
Fantastic.
difficult to do the hands-on stuff, you know. But I do occasionally meet people in London,
Yeah.
and what I was going to say about being 60 as well, I get a discount rail card. Yes, I get
At last, you get something
25%
back.
off.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that, honestly, and prescriptions. But do you know what? It's a bit like my podcast. So I had Matt Willis from Busted on my podcast recently, and I met him and did it in a
Yeah.
studio. And the difference of being live with someone in person is so
It's
different
so
from a Zoom.
different.
So I'm going to look at it, but I'm in the Midlands, and you know, it's managing the logistics of that. But it's online. But do you know what? It's
You'll get great
fine.
results anyway. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're getting great results and really helping to connect people and to support people, you know, and if it's online, I mean, it's, you know, it's still, it's working,
It
you
does
know,
work, and do you know what? It's how people connect emotionally to their
yeah,
relationship, whether it's with food or alcohol, because we look at it like that, right? Lovely glass, by the way. But look, I've got a problem with that, right? But it's what's behind that. What is the reason for your issue with alcohol?
exactly.
Which, don't even get me on that, because like, I feel so passionate about self-compassion for
Yeah,
people who are struggling, because we don't ask to be here. You know, this is a progressive out, you know, it's an addictive drug. We don't ask to be here. It happens with life stress, and we might have that extra glass of wine that leads to,
yeah,
oh, I finished the bottle, or it might lead, I want one glass out of that second bottle just for a nightcap, and that then leads to
yeah, yeah,
a bottle and a half a night. And all we get is a label on the bottle saying drink responsibly. And all these big fat cats are earning all these millions and millions of pounds, right, with this silly label. And you say, I've got a problem.
yeah,
National Health Service don't want to know. You get shamed there. And it's like you're on your own with it.
yeah,
So I
really
kind of help people with self-forgiveness, and try and help them see it differently, like change the mindset, which you do brilliantly with HBD. Change the mindset about your relationship with our alcohol, and then let's go from there. Of course, do the practicals, but it's all about in here
yeah,
how we reframe things and how we can move forward in a positive way.
exactly.
And now I work.
So well said, Dave. Thank you. It's just, it's like, you know, you see the strata in the rocks, you know, all the layers and layers and layers and layers, and we need to get down to that bottom layer, I
Yeah.
guess. And the alcohol, stopping the alcohol or giving up sugar, whatever, means that there isn't really anywhere to hide anymore. We feel quite exposed, and that's what we need to feel to take action.
Yeah. Yeah, and how we manage that, because a lot of us, we eat the way we do for comfort, don't we? For, you know, we
Yeah,
turn to it for almost like support. It's like, you know, like there's so many layers to it, and like uncovering them. But of course, that takes
it
time as well.
takes time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just coming back to the beginning, Dave, and you talked about your treat meal, and you know you really enjoy your treat meal, but the next day it's everything back to normal. There's no hangover from that, or no, well I had it yesterday, so I'll have a bit of that today. That is it, and that makes it more precious, I think, doesn't it, and more special. Yeah, you wait a week for the next one,
Yeah,
you know,
but
and
that's
what's
all right. Do you know what? I genuinely, like, me and Victoria now. She's saying, "Oh, I've had lovely, whatever it be, you know, like she makes a lovely little omelette, and quite often we send pictures, and it's like when I say about the bandwidth around booze, is when you moderate or you try and moderate that is always in your head of, oh, shall I drink tonight? Shall I not drink tonight? Shall I drink at the wedding? Shall I not? You know, it's
yeah,
constantly nagging at your brain. So with this HBD, with the 3 meals a day, if you
no
stick to
snacking.
it,
Yeah,
you remove the chatter of, oh, shall I
Yeah,
have a crafty little bit of peanut butter on toast? Shall I have a bit of chocolate? Shall I have a...
it's
It
liberating.
removes it.
Yeah,
It's
you don't have to think about
liberating.
that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
if you stick to that, you cannot go wrong.
you
You
can't go
cannot go wrong.
for
Pressure goes
everybody.
down,
Yeah,
weight goes down,
yeah.
skin gets better. You can't
I
go
mean,
wrong. And this is what I
you look
say.
amazing. You look
Oh,
so
thank
well.
you.
Now, your
Thank
skin's
you.
fabulous. Your eyes are bright and sparkly.
Thank
You know, you look happy in
you.
your skin. It's really lovely.
Yeah.
Love to see. And I
Thank
think we
you.
should definitely do part 2 of this before
Yeah.
long. Yeah, because
I
there's
think
a
we
lot
could talk
we
for ages, but
we
I'm
could.
just wondering if anyone's got any questions to round it off with. Like, it could be nice because I know we've only got an hour. But look, there's so many wonderful messages in there. Like it's just remove the chatter. It's true. It's so important, and you know that's the same with I think everything in life. If like I believe in boundaries, firm boundaries around things, and that can improve your
Ex-
life, whatever it is.
Exactly, exactly. We need to be firm with ourselves. Exactly.
Yeah,
Lots of lovely messages for you, Dave,
yeah.
saying you know how
Us, not me. Us.
mainly you actually, saying how lovely of you to share and how well you're
Thank
looking.
you.
And yes to part 2. And we've got Gigi there and Losing It at 50 and lots of other HBDers who've been fielding questions because lots of people have been saying, what is HBD? You know, what do you want about? Actually, I'll just show them the book.
Yeah.
HBD is this book and it's available on Amazon. It's called The Human Being Diet and it is a miraculous program. I'm very honoured to have Dave giving it the thumbs up as well. Really appreciate that, Dave. And I'm really, really
I can't speak
grateful.
for it. And when I first started doing it, and I got a little bit of you know, the old back chat about it, and you know,
Yeah.
I felt a little bit apprehensive because I knew it's the elephant in the room for me,
Yeah.
you know, and I felt a little bit anxious and nervous, but I couldn't be more passionate about it now. And
Yeah.
I just really, really hope this live has helped people that might be sitting on the fence. I know there's a few people from my community that have come in that are exploring the idea. I do know there's a couple of people in my group that are looking at it as
I
well,
can see,
you know, so
my darling. Yeah, lots of names I don't know here. So thank you
yeah.
very much. Good
Yeah.
show.
As I say, there's such a close link between the two. Only difference is you have to eat and you don't have to
Yeah.
drink. So for me, I cannot drink. I just cannot drink.
Yeah.
But I can't be like that. I have to eat food right, but I have to eat the right
And
food.
you're okay with sugar now. You can get away with it once a week and it
It doesn't affect me at all.
after that. Thank goodness.
It's all good. I was a little bit worried about cheese because after once I had some feta cheese and I felt a little bit bloated, but I realised I'd had about 4 glasses of sparkling water as well.
That
So,
would do it. Yeah.
yeah, so I cut that out. But apart from that, I haven't had any problems and I'm straight back on it, honestly. I had my treat meal and then when I put my knife and fork down, I think, right, that's enough now. You can get back to it.
That's
And
great.
I genuinely look forward to my way of eating now. I generally do.
No, that's fabulous. Well, have
Yeah,
a lovely birthday weekend, Dave. It sounds like you've got some really great plans and enjoy
yeah.
every moment.
Thank
Yeah.
you so
No,
much. And thank you so much for inviting me on the live as well. I've really
thank you
enjoyed
so
it.
much. Really, really appreciate it. And like you
Yeah.
said, there are so many similarities between the boozing and HBD and the problem is that you have to eat, but you don't have to drink. Well,
Yeah, it's exactly that.
yeah, and have.
But so many, thank you everyone as well for all your lovely messages as well. It's been really heartwarming. So thank
Okay.
you. And love to you
And lots of
and
love
your
to you,
other half.
darling Dave.
Oh, and I'll
Lots
see
of
you soon.
yeah, thank
See you
you.
later.
Lots of love.
Bye.
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 Thank you.